Hi everyone, Sammy Flair here. Welcome back to Bolt Action, the series where people not infrequently call my sanity into question.
For good reason, it would seem.
But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about hockey. Lightning win 6-3 over the Vegas Golden Knights, sweeping the two-game season series against Vegas, closing out a road trip with a win, and overall looking so much more like the Lightning team that we hoped was going to show up this season. Diagnosing the Lightning's second win over the Vegas Golden Knights is admittedly a little bit of a difficult task in this instance. I know there are Vegas fans out there that are thinking, well, the Lightning didn't get to see the best version of the Vegas Golden Knights. They didn't get to see the true Stanley Cup contending Vegas Golden Knights, and there's a little bit of a point to that. After all, in both games that the Lightning played against Vegas, the starting goalie was Carl Lindbaum, who, if you recall, is a rookie goaltender who has played a grand total of 3 games so far. He's won none of them, and 2 were against the Lightning. So yes, they were not shooting against the goaltending quality of Adin Hill or even Akira Schmidt, but I largely push those comments to the side for several reasons, not the least of which being it's November. Nobody is playing Stanley Cup contender quality hockey right now in November. You gotta save that until April, basically. I don't know if you noticed this, but the San Jose Sharks have won 3 of their last 4 games. With a small enough sample size, you could argue that the San Jose Sharks, the somehow no longer last place San Jose Sharks, are playing Stanley Cup contention quality hockey in the month of November. Small sample sizes don't do anybody any favors. They don't inherently prove nor disprove anything, so you have to expand that a little bit. And that's another reason why I kind of throw out those comments that the Lightning didn't get the best version of the Vegas Golden Knights in the month of November and October. As true as that may be, there are some other things that remain true. Fact number 1 about the Vegas Golden Knights: they have the league's leading scorer as of tonight in Jack Eichel. The man looks like an absolute monster. Fact number 2, they have incredible scoring talent around him. They have one Mitchell Marner, who is just looking like a freak in and of itself already. Again, Pavel Dorofeev, of course, Ivan Barbashev put up 2 goals in this game. Don't tell me that the Vegas Golden Knights can't score goals. And number 2, Vegas is 6-3-1 in its last 10 games, and it is always a positive thing when in your last 10 games you have won more games than you have lost. And let's not forget that the first game against Vegas was not that long ago. It was in October. It was game number 9, 5 games ago. So both of those Lightning wins factor into that 6-3-1. But this isn't Goldenrod or Nightmare or whatever a Vegas Golden Knights fan reaction video series would be. This is Bolt Action, so let's talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know that the tone of this video so far has been very excitable and very positive, but I ought to be honest, that first 20 minutes sucked. The first period was a period when the Lightning looked sluggish. They looked unprepared. They looked undisciplined. They looked like they just didn't show up to play any hockey that night. It was a period in which they didn't register their first shot on goal officially until almost 16 minutes into the game. That's never a good night. They finished that period down in shots 15-3. Vegas pretty much ran all over them during that period. The only bright spot of the first period was Andrei Vasilevskiy was standing on his head. I know he allowed 2 goals on 15 shots, but again, hey, Lightning, you kind of let 15 shots be taken on your goalie. How many more could have gone in if Vasi wasn't channeling vintage Vasi here? In a perfect world, you obviously want him stopping all 15 of those chances, but the reality is that the Lightning defense kind of left him out to dry on those Barbashev goals. On both of those goals, the Lightning just seemed to conveniently forget that Ivan Barbashev is in fact an NHL player. He can in fact score NHL goals, and so they just kind of left him alone on the ice. Once on a rebound where he never should have been that alone, and then the second on a pseudo breakaway where he absolutely should not have been left alone. So admittedly, after the first period was over, I was writing the miniature obituary that would possibly become this video. Thankfully, the second period happened. The second period was a complete flip-flop of the first period, which is strange because I know one of my chief complaints about the Lightning in the last 2 years is they always take at least 1 period off during a game. They have not put in a full 60-minute effort, supposedly, in the last 2 years or so, but typically what's happened is they reserve that for the second period. They come out guns blazing, they get up to a 1, maybe 2 goal lead, and then they just take a nap and order some Uber Eats during the second. But in the immortal words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend, because the second period, the Lightning completely changed the game. Outshot the Vegas Golden Knights 15-4, whereas they were getting outshot 15-3 in the first period. Didn't take a single penalty in the second period. Granted, they didn't take one in the first period either, but it still showed a commitment to getting back to what they do best. And part of what they do best is creating scoring chances. And you saw that once again from depth pieces. Both cases were instances of being in the right place at the right time. First from Gage Gonsalves and second from Dominic James. Congratulations, Dominic James, on getting your first NHL goal, by the way. But both of them go to the net. Imagine that. If you want to go and score goals on this small net where a very large man is standing, where do you think the best place that you could possibly be is? Is it set up at the top of the circle? Is it set up at the blue line? Is it set up behind it? No, it's right in front of the daggum goalie. And thankfully, both of them did exactly that. One got a beautiful pass, being Gage Gonsalves, and the other took advantage of a loose rebound with a wide open net. He's not going to have an easier one than that. Again, congrats, Dominic James. But going into the third period, you're still tied. The third period was an emotional period, shall we say. And let me set the stage for you. I play fantasy hockey, as many hockey fans do. I've been running the league that I'm in right now for the last several years. And my matchup this week is against my friend, Tim. Tim is a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. We often talk shop about hockey. Now, Tim is the owner of Nikita Kucherov, who is obviously a forward, the forward for the Tampa Bay Lightning, a player that I fully intended to take with the 4th pick in the first round, and yet I somehow managed to get Connor McDavid. Make that make sense. I, on the other hand, am the owner of Brandon Hagel of the Tampa Bay Lightning and Mitch Marner of the Vegas Golden Knights. And being in a fantasy hockey league gets you more invested in watching games that you typically wouldn't, but certainly even more invested in the games that you actually care about. So with that in mind, I obviously always want the Lightning to win when they go into a game. I don't care how my players do specifically, as long as they win. And then you get that nice little wrench thrown in there when your opponent has one of the players on your team. So now I'm like, ooh, I really want the Lightning to win. I know Nikita Kucherov is going to be a big part of that. Maybe he could only get an assist and maybe not some goals. Yeah, that sounds good, right? And all of this is an effort to help illustrate for you how emotional it was for me that within the span of 90 seconds, Nikita Kucherov scores, Mitch Marner scores, and Brandon Hagel scores. It was the immediate, yes, let's go, Cooch, but not too much. Followed immediately by, no, Vegas tied it up again, but as Mitch Marner, oh, good job, Mitch. Which was finally capped off with, Hagel, Bagel, let's go! So all told, between those 3 players, Nikita Kucherov gets 2 power play goals and an assist. Brandon Hagel gets 2 goals and a power play assist. Mitch Marner gets a goal and 2 assists. Tim gets roughly 6 points out of Nikita Kucherov. I get roughly 10 points from my 2 players, along with a miniature heart attack and the sense of elation that my rooting interest in the Tampa Bay Lightning won a game and swept the season series against Vegas. Oh, fantasy hockey's fun, y'all. You should play. Even if you believe that the Lightning didn't get the best version of the Vegas Golden Knights in either of the 2 wins against them, here's my question to you. What would you like them to do? Would you like them to request a mulligan and redo the game? Would you like them to request a 3rd game against the Vegas Golden Knights so that Vegas can be sure to dress their best goalie, their hottest hand? What do you actually want from them? Vegas is a team of adults. All the players and the coaching staff in the front office, they're all adults. I feel quite confident that they can make decisions for themselves about what personnel to ice on any given night and how seriously they want to take, quote unquote, a game against the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey, much less 2. The Tampa Bay Lightning, and by proxy, every NHL team, and even more by proxy, every team in every sports league, professionally or amateur or children's league or otherwise, can all only do the same thing. They can play the team that's on the schedule for that day or for that night. Period. End of story. And when you get into that game, the ultimate goal is always the same. To quote Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. It's the same reason that I started tuning out those silly arguments that say, oh, the Lightning only won back-to-back Stanley Cups. They were both Mickey Mouse Cups. Really? Because, if your team was in that position, you totally wouldn't claim that your team won those Stanley Cups, right? Right? Uh-huh. A win is a win is a win. And more importantly, the Lightning are back to winning games consistently. They are back to winning more games than they lose. They are 6-1 in their last 7. They went 2-1 on this short little road trip out west. In this set of 10 games, games 11 through 20, they are now 3-1 and setting themselves up well to get that 12 points through these next 10 games. This is what you want to see. And it makes me happy. It relieves part of my anxiety about this team because as I was looking at this set of 4 games during this calendar week right here, at Utah, at Colorado, at Vegas, home against Washington, you asked me about that 2 weeks ago, and I am concerned. I think they're probably only winning one of those games. A week ago, I'm thinking those 4 games are manageable, and they can probably manage to take care of business against 2 of those teams. Now, at this point, you're going into a home game against the Washington Capitals, who have taken a step back, and I'm thinking if you don't win that game, that's honestly a little bit of a failure for these first 4 games. And it's a nice place to be as a fan where a single loss is just a bump in the road. It is not confirming something that you already know about the team. It is not more of the same. It is not habitual. It is not a pattern. It is simply, oh, they lost a game, gear up, and get back to work. And that is exactly what this team is going to do. They got the Capitals at home on Saturday. Then they get 3 days off, 3 days of rest, and they get the struggling New York Rangers at home on the following Wednesday. Let's see if they can start cooking up another win streak. But that's it. That's all I got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for giving me just a little bit of your time. I hope that you had a wonderful Halloween. What did you dress up as? I was Rumi from the K-pop Demon Hunters, but let me know what your costume was for this year. And as always, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, then I would ask you to consider subscribing or liking the video or leaving a comment or whatever your heart desires. Know that I do look at all the comments, and for those of you that leave me nice comments, I appreciate you. I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of appreciate the negative comments as well because, woo, free engagement on my content. But until I see you again, remember, go Bolts, and feels good. Sweep, 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 sweep.